Hey guys, so as promised, I said I would make a little breakdown on For Honor, and this is it. So basically, at the end of each match, I know I'm starting at a bit like of a weird sort of point. At the end of each match, basically you get a reward system where you can find a piece of loot. Sometimes you won't find any loot, sometimes you'll find a piece of loot. One of my friends, Captain America, I believe he found like I think it was a level 7 blade at the end of a match before because he had a high gear score. That was just pure luck. It's based off luck, just a random generator. You can get whatever. One of the things about the XP system though is obviously the better that you perform, you will get more XP, but you will get champion status XP. Now, other people who have it can benefit that on you, but if you have champion status, I think it's 25% more XP than normal, which means that you just get a general increase, and others get a 10% increase. So if there's four of you with it, you'll get, I think it would be like a 55 increase. So, or if your three friends have it, you at least get a 30% XP boost if you don't have that as well as they do. So now you can dismantle anything that you do get for steel. I think it's steel. I think it's steel, yeah. And you can use that steel to then upgrade. You also need coins to upgrade, so you need a healthy balance of steel and coin. You want to make sure that you spend it wisely, or you're going to have to grind for more. War assets is a part of the game that is the three factions are hard to control. They always fight over each other. What I think is cool about the war assets is that it's a sort of secondary war going on, as well as fighting in there. You've also got a fight going on in the background with like globally. The entire globe is fighting on this one war assets page, and it really does bring us about just the scale of how many people are fighting. Um, One of the things I did think was cool was on the trailer itself, the three guys who were fighting in the middle in the center. Even if you don't connect to that region, those three guys are still fighting in that center. And as obviously everything expands out on the trailer, and all of the other guys start coming in and fighting, there's the grunts and stuff fighting around them. That middle section is actually in this game, in that mid section on the war assets map. I thought that was really cool and a little addition. Also, the orders as well. The orders really do help you with experience. You can get money. I'll just call it money. It's either steel money. You can get a lot of experience. Some of the challenges are really annoying. Some of the PvP ones are like, oh, play with this character you might not be so good with. But on top of that, as long as you have just sort of the determination to get that under control and just to go for that challenge, you can actually gain a lot of experience very quickly. Especially if you're trying to upgrade just one character. I've mainly focused on the Warden for the beta. One of my friends, I think it was a Prestige 3 Berserker by the time the beta ended, or around that. So, you really can focus on what you want to do with that game, and you can focus all the experience onto different characters or different pieces of equipment, anything like that. So on the screen right now we have the 9 characters in the game. I didn't recruit I think it's Conqueror and the Warlord, but this is the Knight's Warden. The Warden is actually a pretty balanced character. The three on the left, there's the Warden, there's the Raider or the Viking, and there's the Kenzai Samurai Warrior. Those three are probably most balanced in the game, the balance between defense and offense. The middle section, there's the Hybrid Samurai down the bottom, and the Nobuchi, I think. Probably butchered that name. There's the Warlord and there's the Conqueror. The Conqueror and the Warlord are very defensive. They've got a shield and a mace and a shield and a sword for the Warlord. They're very defensive and built around that. And the Nobuchi is very annoying in a harasser. And then the three on the end, the Peacekeeper, the Berserker, and the Orochi. Those are assassins. They're very fast-paced characters which can deal a lot of damage and get away from fights and sticky situations very quickly. Just to break down the characters. One thing you can say on this is just sort of the speed of which the game can move about. The Warden can be a pretty fast-paced character. That's obviously the speed of the Peacekeeper, which is what I'm fighting against now. And you can see that the Peacekeeper is very quick with what it does. The Warden can be a good defensive and offensive character, depending on how you build it. The Peacekeeper has a very unique bleeding effect, which a lot of players will already know by now due to the beta, which is the stabbing and bleeding, the 3-stab. Now with that, basically you weapon break and grab them, and then you have to hit R1 for the light attack, and you need to space it out if you want to get the 3. but it's very effective in bleeding the enemy down. As you can see, in this short space of time, he got me down to minuscule health. I got lucky on the end there. But with the Warden, one of the things I do at suggest actually is blocking until the enemy runs out of stamina or is on low stamina. Then weapon breaking and doing a lot of light attacks in different directions, trying to get around their block, do unexpected things, and just generally go offensive if you've built around defense, and then fall back into that defense, and it really does mess with the enemy's head. Then do a success of light attacks and then fall back onto the heavy for the execution at the end. That's usually what I do. You'll see I do it here. I begin to light attack, and you can see that he can't really get a hold of my direction I'm going, and I finish with the heavy and then the execution. It's a really effective character to play as a Warden because you can take on not only one but multiple enemies. It's got a constant block. You don't have to put a direction on the block that you do with the assassins. Something I should mention, by the way, with the assassins on the end, you have to time your blocks. You can't just hold the button down. You have to time each block. So if you go up against 2-3 different enemies and they're attacking from different directions, it does actually mean that you're going to have to just get out there. You can't really stand and fight against multiple enemies like you can with the Warden, the Raider, or the Kenzai Samurai, which it does suck a bit, but it makes the character a little less powerful because it balances it out a bit. You'll see again, I just start to get around his guard. One of the things I will say about the Peacekeeper, this was against a friend, and I know how he plays, but usually with Peacekeepers, they do tend to try and do that, the little stabbing technique with the bleed. So that is something you should watch out for. Just don't let them get close. And if they do start to get close, just try your best to sort of just parry them back, block them, try your best to not let them get a hold of you. Because when they do, it is mean. But this was a little bit of a 1v1 duel between one of my friends, and this is just a little bit of play with the Warden. Now I do have play with all of the characters, and I may squeeze this into 2 different videos and not just one, because it is a lot of play and a lot of footage that I need to squeeze into a small amount of time. But I'll try my best. Now this is some play with the Orochi, which is an assassin for the samurai. I know I did just switch from the knights to the samurai, but I will do a bit of on the Vikings. But this is a very fast-paced character. It's a counter-attacker more than anything, and it's got some pretty harsh attacks. As you can see, he's just took off about half my health with that one hit. I did actually lose this to one of my good friends, Polyspartan, so I'll give him some props for that. And if I can get his YouTube, if he does have one, I will recommend that you watch it. But this was a little bit of a 1v1. My friend wanted to be there, so I just let him be on their team and stand back. But this is the Orochi. As you can see, it's really based on sort of confusion tactics, not really doing much. One of the things we do, some of me and my friends, we do actually like to sort of roleplay a bit, I would say. So it's like most people you will get in for honour, not really honourable. They will throw you off the edge of the map. They'll just run at you straight away. You know, we like to just walk around. We like walk up to each other slowly and do the little taunts and just to tell each other we're ready. And it's really a bit of roleplay, but it just makes the gaming experience more fun and intense. Now, I did lose this because it is fast paced. It's not really my character. I play as the Warden and sometimes the Peacekeeper if I just get annoyed with some people online. But apart from that, all I can really say for this is try not to show which way you're going to go with your block. Because as you can see, the block, it does not, you can really quickly snap out of not having a block up. Obviously you stay in the guard stance, but don't choose a direction to block. And only choose that direction when you're about to attack. Because when you're about to attack, you can quickly snap out of that guard position into attack position, and they won't know where you're going to go. If you actually replay this little clip after you've watched it, you can see which way I'm swinging. So I'll swing like left to right or up. But you'll see when I'm walking around, I'm following them in the guard stance. I don't actually have any direction picked until I attack. And it really confuses the enemy, doesn't know which way they're going to go. Same with the Peacekeeper, you can do the same thing with that. And as an assassin, obviously having that timed block, it really does mess with the enemy's heads. One of the things I do recommend is that you just sort of train in a private lobby before you go online with some of the characters. As, you know, you may buy a character for the 500 credits, maybe more after the game releases, sorry. I never know. You don't know until the game actually releases. But you don't want to be spending all that money on the character and then thinking it's a bad character or that you're not gonna, it all takes practice. At the start of this game, I was getting my ass handed to me because I couldn't really figure out the game for myself. But as soon as I started to get the hang of it, I started to practice with some friends. Started to practice on the Warden. Some of the characters I play as the Warden. I love to play the Raider. The Berserker was one of them as well. I love to play those 3, 4 characters, and I really did get the hang of the game after that. And I started to get a hang of it. I got into some 4v1 situations, and I started to actually do very well in those. Which is I've got a few clips and stuff I will put on to the end of the video, just to show like how used to the characters you can get. This is the Barbarian, Viking Raider. I always refer to it as the Diablo 3 Barbarian. But this is the Raider for the Viking class, and basically it's a very heavy and slow character, mostly based on defense and then pushing offense. It's a very intimidating character to come up against, really, the massive axe, the sort of muscly character in itself. But it's a really slow and sort of luggish character. As you can see, it's got the unique charge where you pick them up and charge them on the shoulder, and that can really disorientate your enemy when you charge them and you can throw them. Now, I believe your throw distance acquires that, so your throw distance, the longer your throw distance is, I believe, is the further you charge them, which is why, some characters have only thrown us like so far, some have charged just like halfway across the map. So experiment around with what you want in the game. But as you can see, the attacks are slow. They really are slow to deal with, especially the heavy attacks. So you want to make sure that your enemy is out of stamina when you're doing these attacks. You want to make sure that you're not putting yourself in any sort of risk where you can be hit a lot of times. Because yes, it is a character that can take a lot of damage, but once you get 1 or 2 enemies on you, or one enemy that's really good with offense, once you let them open up, it's not going to end well. So as you can see, it's a character based a lot on pushing around. As you can see, I just threw him off the map there like that. It's a strong character, has a lot of throw distance actually compared to the other characters due to the just muscle size of the character. But generally tips of the Barbarian is take advantage of the size difference. It has a lot of damage with the swings of the attacks. Just the sort of general light attack and the heavy attack especially have a lot more damage compared to other characters because of just the size of the axe. Look at the size of the thing. And try to run your enemy out of stamina. You can still block at the same rate, you just need to practice blocking. That is one thing I advise you do on For Honor, just in general, is just practice your block technique. Just practice your reaction speed with blocking, because yes, you get some characters who are extremely fast. I've had people outclass me, and I'll say it proudly because I'm not one of these guys who says I'm the best. There'll always be someone better. And that's why I've had people who are faster than me, especially with attacking and blocking. This Crash-tastic guy I came up against in a 1v1 online, he is pretty good with his technique. If you saw what I was doing there quickly, I was just switching my hands, switching my guard around to play a little bit of a mind game. It does really sort of mess with the head of the enemy. You will see it sometimes in online matches, just keep an eye out for that. And as I said before, if you find someone online who is respectable, they'll do taunts, they'll give you a bit of space. I'll fight with some of my friends and they'll give you a little bit of space. Taunts really do help with the whole, sort of experience of the game. That little charge I done there really does it brings up the sort of seriousness of the Vikings, the rage that I had in war. And it's you can play yourself into character, really, especially with Vikings, if you do the sort of taunts that they have, especially the one where I smacked me axe on the ground and then charged at him with the heavy attack. That sort of, that sort of thing. I actually added this guy on PlayStation afterwards. You can find new friends, and not just that, you can find respectable players to group up with. If you find respectable players to group up with, I find that your experience in this game will actually be improved a lot. I have a group of friends who are respectable, even on 2v2 situations. They'll stand back, say if you are in a 2v2 brawl online and you win against your target, fair and square, and then you go to see what the other two are doing. If you stand back and let them have their honor fight, and see if, I don't know, your opponent kills your teammate, then fight that opponent, obviously, but you know, if you win against your target, you have that sort of honourable kill, and that's what this game's like really supposed to be about, is the honourable kills. That's the way me and some friends look at it, so I find that does enhance your experience in this game a lot. This match was an Orochi, which is me, versus Headhunter, one of my friends, who actually was playing the Peacekeeper. Now, these two are very fast characters, they're both assassin class characters, so you will see very fast paced action in this. Basically, we had a little discussion. Obviously, the audio, because of the real bad static through the mic, I will mute that because it is really bad. I'll look for a new mic actually. But you'll see a lot of fast-paced action. He got me down to that amount of health very quickly. He ran out of stamina. But you'll see how quickly you can just attack. He killed me very quickly with that. Now, he did run away, but the thing is, I advise when you're out of stamina to just stand and block, because you can run them out of stamina as you regain yours. It's a good idea, and I find it does help in multiplayer matches. Me and him were just training. This was before, as obviously it was best of 9, and we were just training before a multiplayer match. And this is honourable as well, obviously, with this sort of setting, this narrow bridge. It's very tempting to throw your opponent off. And it's, you know, we push each other backwards and forwards. He didn't push me sideways, although he could have there, very easily. And, you know, you can weapon break, you can push them back. I use weapon break and then hit them. But you can see he pushed me and I nearly fell off there. But he pushed me back. He didn't push me to the sides. It's just honourable not to push people off, because it just gets annoying when you push people off. It's not. There's no real honour in pushing someone off a ledge, really. Obviously, if you push them off a ledge and then that's just like an advantage gain, fair enough. But if it kills them, it's not really an honourable kill. It's not a sword fight kill. You know, it's a kill with the environment. He chose not to push me off the ledge again there. You know, it's etiquette, it's just polite sort of fighting, really. It's honourable fighting. And he applies a bleed effect as well, very well with the Peacekeeper. Obviously, executions as well is something I want to touch upon. In For Honor, especially elimination 4v4 or brawls sometimes 2v2, but very rarely. Eliminations can make the difference between the match. In rounds, basically, eliminations mean it's decapitation, it's a serious blow to sort of the ribs or the neck, slit neck. Basically, it means that they ain't coming back. You're not going to be able to revive that teammate, or that enemy isn't going to be able to be revived later on in the match. Which means if someone applies a running tactic and just runs away 24/7 from your team, if they're in a 4v1 situation, they can't go around and just slowly revive the entire team. Apologies for the coughing. But it means that they won't be able to revive their teammates. You won't be able to revive your teammates if they've been executed. If you do finish somebody, but you don't execute them, watch over their body, because it's no doubt if you haven't executed them and you leave their body, they will run and then execute that. I mean, they will run and try and revive that enemy who hasn't been executed, so just try and execute your targets with a heavy attack. If you're not sure how to, then I would go at it with light attacks, heavy attacks, but finish on the heavy attack while in guard mode. If you finish without guard mode, it won't let you have that option for execution. Executions can be interrupted as well before the impact is made by just generally attacking them or not knocking into them. In revenge mode, executions can't be interrupted at all, which is it is sort of a nice little advantage in revenge mode, because it does give you a chance to sort of get your own way. You know what I mean? If you've just came back from, say, a 3v1 and you've just executed someone, so it's 2v1 now, you know, it gives them that sort of reassurance that that person isn't going to be revived. Oh, and by the way, running gets you almost nowhere in this game, so don't run away from your target. Die fighting, don't die running away. One thing I would like to touch upon as well is the war assets page. So with the war assets, you can attack an enemy territory or defend your territory. And there's usually 3 fronts. Well, there's 2 fronts, obviously, but there's usually a mid-zone, which you can attack as well. And you can attack the knights, say if you're the samurai, which I am. You can attack the knights, you can attack the Vikings, or you can defend your territory. So there's sort of 3 ways you can go. You can only do 1 per war asset, so 1 per match, and after a match you get to deploy your war assets. The turns, there's turns and seasons is like just the massive sort of. I think it's seasons and rounds actually. But with Warus, it's basically the three factions, and you control different amounts of territories. I'm not sure how the little plus sevens and plus and minuses work. I'm gonna ask my friends, and I'll put up a video or just explain them briefly. But you do get rewards for winning the faction wars, and if you do win the faction wars, it is like a big achievement globally, as well as it's a global effort. But just try to deploy your war assets and just think about where you're deploying them, what you want to go for, who you want to push against. Me and a few friends, we had friends on the Viking side. Most of my friends were on the Viking side on the beta. We actually made an agreement because I was the only samurai person, and we had one knight friend who was very unlucky because we decided to all push on the knights since the samurai and the Viking were having a sort of a bit of an agreement, and we all pushed on the knights and we got them down to 9 territories, where we both had about 25 territories each. So just think about where you're deploying your assets, make agreement with friends, try and just have some fun with the assets page. Obviously it's a global effort and your effort might be minuscule, but it might be enough to make a difference.